Aloha, beautiful souls. Welcome to another amazing episode of A Better World with Adrienne. I am so honored to share this podcast today. I have recently, at the time of this recording, this is the deep, potent space that I love to pour into. This is what I prioritize outside of my work with my amazing clients, the leaders of a new earth that I get to work with. And I recently received some pretty strong guidance to take a step back from social media. Like, it's very loud, strong guidance from my guides, from spirit, came through my intuition. I felt it in the cells of my body. And it really guided me to the topic of today's podcast. So today's topic is I'm going to be teaching and sharing my framework on how to interrupt your own patterns, how to interrupt any toxic pattern, any pattern. I'm going to share with you my framework for how to do this. And so it came through that really strong for me as like, hey, it's time to take a step back from social media. Not that I was doing anything quote unquote wrong in the social media space. I was just like, it's time for a pattern interrupt. It's time for a pattern interrupt. Something's out of alignment. Like, you're changing, you're expanding every day by the minute. And, there's all of these stories and tall tales out there that like, oh, you got to be posting 3 times a day, or you've got to be like, on 24/7. That's first of all, the only way you can make money, or second of all, the only way you can make an impact. And you know what the New Earth way says? You know what I say? You know what my guides say? Fuck that. Fuck that. Your destiny will never demand you to extract your own life force, to live out of alignment, and to be operating in a pattern that does not serve you. And so this is the first thing, is like, okay, I'm interrupting this pattern with social media. Don't fully understand what it means. It's a little bit scary because it's like, okay, that's a big place where I connect with my community. Except, I've known for, it's coming up on a year of this podcast, which is crazy. I've known this is where I want to be, the whole time. And this is where, these are the things that like I'm not changing anybody's life in a reel. I'm not changing anybody's life in super short expiration content. I want to share, I don't want to. I am committed. I'm committed to sharing deep dives that will change someone's life, that they can walk across today, in a year, in 10 years, in 20 years, after I'm fucking dead. And it can change your life. So that's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm doing. That's one of the reasons that brought me to today's topic on A Better World with Adrienne. And so the other reason it's coming through so strong is that, I'm currently leading Homecoming. It is a 12-week experience for Lemurian priestesses, and I'm leading it with my soul sister, family I didn't know I had, family I didn't know I needed, Julia Phoenix. And we're talking about a pattern interrupt a lot in that container, because it's like, to step forward as a leader, to step forward as your highest self, to evolve in any way, you have to interrupt the old way. You have to check your ego at the door and be like, yo, this is not correct. It's time to level up. And so we interrupt the toxic pattern, the old pattern, the pattern that doesn't serve us. I like the word toxic because it's very direct. It doesn't beat around the bush. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. This is a teaching podcast. This is a place for you to learn, level up, and grow. So let's go, baby. Let's go. And I want to tell you that Spirit will never ask you to deny your truth. And you always have the power to change your life. Spirit will never ask you to live against your truth. So don't allow it. Don't allow it. It's time to interrupt the patterns for good. Okay. And apparently I'm singing today. This shit lit already. Let's do what we do here at A Better World with Adrienne. Let's call upon the altar. Let's talk about the altar I have set. We are in Libra season at the time of this recording. Beauty is the way. The feminine is the way. Relationship is the way. Collaboration is the way. And not the old paradigm way where you people please, where you burn yourself out, where you placate the comfort zones of others, where you ignore your truth. No, we're talking about holy harmonization with the quantum feminine at the helm, with the agenda of a new earth at the helm. And so today's altar, I'm on a rose kick, y'all. I'm like, I can't get enough roses. I can't get enough roses. And I went and bought this like rose water spray. So we have all the rose quartz I own on the altar. We have this deep red, I believe it's called, oh, I have the name right here. Or maybe I don't. I don't have the name. It starts with the C, I believe. It's deep red, root chakra. It is safe to love. It is safe to be truthful. It is safe to interrupt a pattern that feels safe, but is actually not safe. It's actually blocking you from everything you've ever wanted. It just, in your nervous system, appears safe because it's the known. Okay, I have this deep, dark red crystal. I have my blue agate. I have this third eye opening crystal for everyone's visions to be expanded through this container today. And remember, what is an altar? An altar is thank you in advance to spirit. An altar blesses the space. An altar honors the energy that this will change your fucking life when you let it. When you let it be a grounding place for miracles that I'm allowing to pulse through me. And what if you allowed them to pulse through you in such a way that you walked away from today's episode a different you? Because you can use what's being offered. I have a dozen red roses. Okay. I have one deep dark magenta rose. I have white hibiscus because I'm just on this like train of like pure white, pink, and red. It's like safety. Pure white to me is the angels. It's calling on the angels. I got 3 hibiscus, mind, body, spirit. And the number 3 to me is very connected with Christ consciousness, like the Trinity, but not the fucked up religious distortion, like actual Christ consciousness. So that is on the altar. Thank you, Spirit, for this opportunity to serve. Thank you for all the beauty in this space. May the beauty on the altar ignite the beauty within the hearts of each of us. May the beauty on the altar ignite the beauty that is a new earth that we are creating. May this be a sacred space. May my voice be used for the highest timeline and good of all. And now, dear listener, dear leader, let us take our 3 deep breaths to connect our energy. Shake off the day. Give yourself a little lion's breath or make a sound. Inhale through the nose. It's landing fully in your body. Exhale out the mouth. Next, inhale through the nose. This time focusing on the root chakra and the heart chakra, pink and red, and they blend and they make a path from safety to heart, heart to safety. Holding at the top because you can, connecting to the codes of the earth. Exhale out the mouth. Last inhale through the nose. All the way up through your third eye, opening your crown to the angelic realm, lifting the veil on purpose, allowing your mind to be altered by the powerful codes that pulse through this transmission, calling in your guides, calling in your angels, calling in Archangel Michael, calling in the light of the sun. Hold it at the top. Feel the full body chills. Exhale out the mouth. Gently blink open your eyes. And hello, hello, welcome back. Let's fly. Let's fly with this framework. Okay, so in true Adrienne fashion, I don't fully know the title of this episode yet, and I'm just going to let it be born through me as I channel. So I'm teaching you today a very tangible how-to framework to interrupt your own patterns, that are blocking you from your greatness. And this applies to every single person that ever listens to this, including me, myself, and I. Because if you're a human, you have patterns that don't serve you. Oh, I got patterns that don't serve me. My clients have patterns. Well, and let's dissect that, because it's like, they don't serve you in a positive way. I've had many patterns that serve me. You know, when I'm like, for example, if I'm in a pattern of avoidance, that serves me and that I don't have to deal with the problem. Okay. But it's not serving the highest vision. It's not serving my potential. It's not serving me in a positive way. It's a crutch for me to keep pretending that I'm not powerful as fuck. It's a crutch for me to keep perpetuating a cycle that I already know isn't good. Okay. So we all have toxic patterns that don't serve us in a positive way. And it's up to us to interrupt them. No one else is going to interrupt it for you. Like, even, I mean, this is a powerful reason for having coaches and healers, is that they can see patterns that you can't see and they can help you interrupt them. But I can say to my clients all day long, hey, there's this pattern. Hey, there's this pattern. Hey, there's this pattern. If they don't do jack shit with that information, they're not going to interrupt the pattern. They're just going to keep playing out the same scenarios again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Okay. So to change your results, to change your life, how you think, how you be, how you behave must change. If you want to create change, you must be willing to change. You're going to get a hell ye. Hell ye. It's like, yeah, but with spice. So, you know, this is why this matters, because at the doorway of every level of your evolution is an old toxic pattern to interrupt, drop, and bust through. And so today I'm sharing my 3-step framework that it was one of those things where it's like, I didn't realize this is what I do, but then spirit just banged me on the head with it with a bolt of lightning. And I'm like, oh, that's a framework. That's a framework. Okay. So grab your journal, grab your open mind and heart, and let's go through this framework. Okay. And I like the word framework because if you think about a frame, it's like something we can hang our hat on. It's something very tangible. It's something for the mind to latch onto and leverage in a moment of uncertainty. Because anytime we're interrupting a pattern is something you've done over and over and over and over and over and over and over, right? It's certainty, AKA perceived safety by the nervous system. So your subconscious, which controls 95% of your life, is going to automatically route you towards the quote unquote safe thing, or the quote unquote known. But here's the thing, The known is not where dreams live, not where change lives. The known is where the caged life lives. The known is where lives unlived lives. It's where mediocrity lives. And let me tell you, you didn't come here to be mediocre, especially if you're listening to this podcast. You came here to fucking lead. You came here to make a mark. You came here to change the globe. And this is what's required of you: the ability to interrupt your own patterns. Okay? So at the doorway of every layer of your evolution, knock, knock, guess who answers? Responsibility, hard work, and skill sets to interrupt bullshit. So the 3-step framework. You can use, like, when your mind's freaking out that you're in uncertainty, use this framework. That's why frameworks work. You frame it and then you work it. And then the frame changes. Okay. Framework. I imagine it's hanging a painting on the wall in a frame, and the painting inside changes. Not because there's no frame, because of the frame, we can change the painting of your life. Okay. So step 1, and of course it's an alliteration because if you know me, I got Venus in Virgo, Mercury in Virgo, literally on top of one another at the same degree. So my Mercury and my Venus are at 3 degrees Virgo in my 5th house of creativity, play, joy, and expression. So fun with words, beauty with words, that's my love language. Okay, so here's the framework. Notice. It's a 3-step framework. All of the words start with N. Okay? Notice. First, you must notice the pattern. And I choose notice because we don't judge the pattern. We notice it. Notice is neutral. Notice is observing. Notice is the seat of the meditator. Notice is my worth and my soul are separate from my behavior. And so I can observe the behavior without berating myself and simply notice through a neutral gaze. Like, hey, I notice that I'm overeating at night before bed. I notice it, you know? I'm not saying me personally, but that's, you know, there's patterns that everybody has, and it's like all of us know if you crush a bunch of pizza and sugar before bed, first of all, you're going to gain weight. Second of all, you're going to have the worst sleep ever because you're going to spike your blood sugar and all that. And third of all, it's going to be inflammation up the yin yang in your cells because it's obvious that pizza is not healthy, and it's obvious that you know, crushing a bunch of sugar is not healthy. So it's not about not having moderation. However, I could go into a whole health podcast. I'm not a health expert. I channel through astrology and shamanism in terms of my own health advice, and this is not health advice for you. Go to someone you trust that's like a holistic doctor. But it's obvious. Like, you don't need me to tell you that, like, not moving your body is a toxic pattern, or eating pizza right before you go to bed is a toxic pattern. Like, it's very obvious that that's a toxic pattern. Okay. So first thing is notice. Notice, just notice. You're simply noticing. And so I use this example just like when I teach meditation, is from the observer seat, just like the mind is like a puppy, right? So when you get off track, you just notice and you bring it back. Okay, so simply notice with a neutral gaze. This is one of the most powerful things to notice, because here's the thing: if we aren't aware of it, we can't change it. All right, and this is where powerful coaching comes in. So this framework, you can exponentially crank it up when you have a coach, when you have a healer, okay? Because they can point out your blind spots to you. So first thing, notice. You notice that something's off. You notice, like, oh, like, let's just take that example. Okay, I'm eating a bunch of pizza right before bed, and it's a pattern I'm noticing. I notice it. It's like, okay, I see that. I acknowledge it. I notice it. Neutral, like a science experiment, like data, like the mad scientist, like, how interesting. It's not like, oh, I see that and I'm a horrible person. How could I do that? I should know better, blah, 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 blah. And that's the whole ruminating. That's not neutral at all. It's very scientific. It's very data. It's like, I notice that I am eating pizza before bed. It is creating this result. That's it. Just like if I'm playing music, noticing if I'm continuously messing up something and missing a note, it's like I'm playing this note incorrectly. That's all it is. I don't need to make up a story about it, any of that stuff. Although the mind does love a story. And so that's why this framework is helpful, because you're giving the mind a job so it doesn't take you out. You feel me? Frameworks give the mind a job so it doesn't take you out and hijack you into fight or flight, okay? I'm leveraging the power of the mind against itself with frameworks. That's something huge I do with my clients. I'm so excited to share this. Okay, first thing, notice. Second thing, nurture. You notice the toxic pattern. You notice the pattern that's not serving you in a positive way. Then you nurture yourself. Okay? This is one that that is still a growth edge for me. By the way, everything I teach is stuff I practice daily. It's not like I'm sitting on a summit like enlightened as fuck. No, I have these frameworks because I use them. I have these frameworks because I use them. And I've noticed, I've used this framework, especially in my journey in deconditioning as a projector in human design, because that patterning is so fucking deep, y'all. That pattern is so fucking deep where it's like, I'm in overwork and I don't even realize it until like 3 days in. And I'm like, oh, fuck. You're in that pattern again. And so I notice, and then I nurture myself. Because here's the thing. Anything we apply hate to, anything we treat with harshness, anything we treat with cruelty and just like beating ourselves up, first of all, it feels fucking terrible. And that's not love. And so we must nurture ourselves and really discover what is the meaning, what is behind this. Like, and that's where like tapping, this is where tapping and breath work come in so fucking strong. Breath work is how I nurture myself when I notice I'm in a toxic pattern that I'm interrupting. Okay. When I notice it, then I nurture myself. Like, even though I see this pattern, I love and accept you fully. And I'm going to grab the most powerful tool I know, the breath, to nurture myself. It's safe to notice this. It's safe to love myself. I love you right here, right now, just as you are. This is why so this key nurturing element is why I never reached my potential as a musician until I started meditating and until I started regulating my nervous system, because I never nurtured myself. I never nurtured myself. I would notice, berate, and then practice harder. And the scary thing is that really works to a certain degree. That's the fucked up thing about the Matrix. It really fucking works to a certain degree. And then it really doesn't work because it's linear creation and it's not based in unconditional love. Because the thing is, like, when I would notice, like, oh, hey, you missed a note, it wasn't out of love, it was out of self-hatred. I would whip myself into correcting. And that's why I never advanced in any audition until I started meditating and I started actually loving myself, because I never nurtured myself. Think about your inner child, okay? Would you hit them and kick them and you know, put them down and tell them they're a horrible person if they made a mistake? No, you wouldn't. And if you would, you should be locked up. Nurture. We've lost this piece of nurture. Nurture yourself like, hey, I love you so deeply. And because I love you, I'm going to walk with you through this pattern interrupt. Because I love you so deeply and I accept you. And because you are worthy, I'm going to use my holy discipline to walk us through this pattern interrupt. And this is where the modalities, this is where breath work comes in. Breath work is nurturing yourself. Hiring a breathwork facilitator is nurturing yourself. Not to mention, in this nurturing part, you know, and I don't just say this because it's like, oh, you know, I want people to like book a session with me or blah, 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 which, by the way, I do want you to book a session because it will change your life. I believe in this modality so deeply because it's the only thing that truly helps me nurture myself while interrupting a pattern, because I'm nurturing the 95% of me, the subconscious, the nervous system, that feels unsafe. Because that's what hate is. Hate is fear, and fear is feeling unsafe, and unsafe is tied to the nervous system. If everybody in the goddamn world healed and reset their nervous system at a potent, deep level through integrity-based breath work, we would not have the challenges we have today, because it's all based in fear, which is an unhealed state of the nervous system. Panic. Okay, so first we notice the pattern. Second, we nurture. You can nurture yourself through self-talk, through modalities like breath work, through EFT tapping, anything to shift your energy, you know. Write down in your journal what you love about yourself. Do mirror work, talk to yourself, create mantras. Like, all of these are very, very nurturing. And it's very practical, and it might not come naturally to you. Nurturing myself did not come naturally to me. What comes naturally to me is holding myself to a high as fuck standard and not relenting. And that works in a balanced ecosystem. However, it only really started working because I was relentless in my pursuit of self-love. I'm relentless in my pursuit of nurturing and nourishing myself. I'm relentless in my pursuit of my truth and honoring my truth. That's all nurture. Okay? So notice, nurture. You nurture yourself while like you're in this process of interrupting your own pattern. And then the final thing is nudge. Nudge. Again, it's not a hit, it's not a whip, it's not berate, it's nudge. You nudge yourself back into alignment. And I just imagine it like a dog. You know how dogs, they like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but this is what's coming to mind. First of all, like major puppy codes in my life lately. Like, I've had so many dogs and puppies just like laying on me, coming up to me at the beach, like so many puppy codes. You know, they come up to you and they put their nose underneath your hand and they just nudge it up so you pet them, right? That's what I imagine your highest self doing to you after you nurture yourself. You're like, okay, I noticed I'm in this pattern that does not serve me in a positive way. Now I nurture myself and then I nudge. I nudge myself back into alignment. I nudge myself back. I'm like, okay. And then the thing with a nudge is you do the nudge. you do the nudge. So what's the nudge for if you were crushing pizza right before bed? The nudge is stop doing that. Is, you know what to do. Here's the thing. And this is where we get to be very discerning about if we're in unhealed, wounded feminine, where you are just like, I'm a victim and everything's out of my control and I just go with the flow. Or you have the healed masculine where you're like, no, I expect more from myself. And with a loving nudge, we are going to do better. And then you do better. You know, Maya Angelou said, when we know better, we do better. And here's the thing. There's so many people walking this planet that know better and they refuse to do better. They pretend they don't know. So they don't have to leave their comfort zone. So they don't have to go through frameworks like this, because this shit ain't comfortable. That's called the spiritual path. Welcome to it. This shit ain't comfortable. And it's 1,000 times worth it. I just dropped my crystal because I got too excited. It's 1,000 times worth it. And this is why most people don't do it. This is why most people don't lead. This is why we're living in the world we're living in right now in the 3D realm. Nudge yourself back into alignment with that soft puppy nose of your highest self. Like, hey, kid, you can do better because you're a child of the stars. You're a child of God, and you know what to do. And so with the nudge, and this is something I specialize in teaching in my signature program, 3D Moves, and then also with my one-on-one clients, is like, with patterns and habits and systems, always choose sustainability over volume. Always choose consistency over volume. And that's why I chose the word nudge. Nudge back, baby step. Sometimes it's very binary, okay? Like, for me and alcohol, it's very binary. I don't drink. However, you know how many times I pattern interrupted that? Literally for years before I actually followed through, okay? So that's where it's like notice, nurture, nudge. Notice, nurture, nudge. And the thing is, when I actually finally interrupted that pattern through nurture, I was doing consistent breath work, and it was from a place of self-love that I was able to follow through on the nudge that I always knew, is that I don't give a fuck about alcohol, and it hurts my life, and it hurts my body, and it hurts my spirit, and it's disrespectful to God's source energy, and it hurts people I care about when I use. And that came from deep self-love, which is also self-responsibility. They're the same thing, my friends. No self-love without self-responsibility. Okay. So notice, nurture, nudge yourself back. What's the baby step you can take? Okay. So with that pizza before bed example, it's like, okay, I noticed the pattern. I nurtured myself. I love and accepted myself deeply while in this pattern. Now I nudge. What's the nudge? Okay, I commit to this whole next week, no pizza at all. That's a baby step, right? Like, it's a short time window. And maybe you're like, okay, I feel hungry before bed, but I'm just not going to eat pizza. I'm going to eat, leafy cooked greens, something that's not going to spike my blood sugar or add inflammation. Like, you be the judge of what's correct for you. However, do not allow yourself to keep participating in the pattern. Nudge. Use your puppy nose of your potential. Nuzzle right up in there and nudge yourself back into alignment with what you know and the truth of your soul. Okay, so this is all talking about something called samskara, which is a Sanskrit word that means deep groove. It's grooves of the mind, it's grooves of the body, it's grooves of the life you're living. We all have deep grooves. They're things we're used to. They're patterns. They're paths we've walked in our nervous system, in our city, in our relationships, in our mind for years and years and years and years and years. And so building a new groove is challenging. Okay. Trust me, I realized how fucking automated my life was in Chicago on the mainland when I got to Maui. I was like, oh, you have a lot of deep grooves. Like you're used to your shit just showing up in the mail, no questions asked. It's all automated. You're used to, I had so many grooves created and systems built that were working for me. I had no fucking idea how deep it went. And so I've been in a deep reset. And, I'm interrupting a pattern with social media right now. It's spirit led and, it's correct for me. So what did I do? I noticed that something was off, and then I nurtured myself. I'm like, okay, even though you're an evangelical, like digital detox crusader with Sacred Saturday, even though you have Sacred Saturday, even though you are a leader in this space, I see this pattern that's not good in social media. And I love you and I accept you. And then I followed the nudge, and the nudge said, take a fast. And so what did I do? I did it. Okay. And now I'm in deep alignment with me. I got to tell you, I feel so grounded. I feel so clear. And it's like, wow, man, like this stuff fucking matters. So, dear listener, how does this framework apply to your life? How does this apply to your leadership? And we have self-leadership, your leadership with others. How does it apply to your business, your relationship, your health? People have a lot of toxic patterns with health and working out and food and all of that stuff, which I'm obsessed with, and money. So how can you notice, nurture, nudge? And it's not like, oh, we get to nudge and we're done. No, this shit's a circle. It's a cycle. Notice, nurture, nudge. Notice, nurture, nudge. And you can even make up a dance. You can make up a theme song to use it. I want you to go leverage the fuck out of this to change your life. Okay? This is my framework for you to interrupt any toxic pattern. And what does this have to do with a better world? When we become our best selves, when we become our highest selves, when we interrupt our own bullshit, that's only when we can start interrupting the bullshit of the world. Because a new earth is birthed within each of us first. A new earth is birthed within each of us first before we can birth it out in the 3D reality. So take this tool, run with it, let it expand your life. And if you have yet to write a review of the podcast, please do that. Like, I am doubling down on this podcast. I'm so excited about a better world with Adrienne. Like, we are going to change the fucking globe through these long form transmissions. And yeah, so if you haven't written a review yet, go literally take 1 minute and write a review. Like, this really, really helps me, and it helps people find the podcast that are also New Earth leaders. And so I have one invitation for you besides writing a review of the podcast. I am leading a 2-day live event called Holy Habits Live. This is based on my most popular, most life-changing module of my signature program, 3D Moves. It's called Holy Habits. I've seen leaders. So this whole podcast is like my framework for you to interrupt your own patterns, for you to interrupt toxic patterns. Through my unique frameworks, which this is just, scratching the surface of what I teach, through my frameworks, through aligning with astrology and through potent breathwork journeys, I've seen leaders drop habits cold turkey through this modality. I've seen them implement new habits like immediately through this modality that lasts, y'all. And so I felt really, really deep call. I was like, okay, what does my community need? What do leaders need to fucking crush the rest of 2023? And by the way, crush your life in general, your 3D life in general. I see too many spiritual beings floating around with no habits to anchor them. Okay. We can't allow that. So we are going to come together for 2 days. The first day is called break. The first day, I'm going to teach you frameworks and we're going to do breath work to break and drop a habit. And then the second day, which is like 4 days later after the eclipse, we're leveraging the shocking electric shockwave astrology for sacred interruption. The second day is build. You're going to build a new habit that matters. Okay, so this is your invitation to Holy Habits Live. It's a 2-day experience. You get lifetime access to the replay, and early bird tickets are available until October 7th. I just decided I'm going to extend it one day until October 7th for $155. You can drop a habit and build a new one. That's worth everything. That's priceless. So if you want to work with me, if you want to, take this framework and crank it up like a million notches with breathwork and astrology and learn what I actually teach and how I support my clients. I've seen people stop vaping. I've seen people stop smoking weed. I've seen people stop scrolling on social media for hours a day. I've seen people start health routines and keep them. I've seen people start money routines and start making more money. I've seen it all. And so come to Holy Habits Live. You are invited. This shit's about to be lit. It's live on October 13th and October 17th. If you can't come live, make sure you still get the early bird ticket because tickets are going to keep going up after that and they're going to land at $350. So hop in there now. I love you so, 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 so much. May this bless you. May this be a beautiful way that you can interrupt your own patterns to access your greatness, to access your potential, to access your new earth leadership. Don't forget how unique, amazing, rare you are. Go out there, make a miracle because you're the miracle. Go out there, be the light, be the change. Go make a stranger smile and interrupt your patterns through this loving framework. Paint on the canvas of your life. I love you so, 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 so much. I will see you next time in the next episode. I hope to see you in Holy Habits Live. Be the light, be the change, be the real you. And I will see you next time on A Better World with Adrienne.